Well, I'm Marcia, and I'm going to explain a little bit about how the Sterling Rose Sanctuary came about. We lost our son a little over 5.5 years ago, and after the loss, I reached out to find a place where our family could go for healing. And there was no place that would take a family. It either took couples or it took the children. And our children did not want to be away from us, and we didn't want to be away from them. So we had no idea that because what was lacking, God would find in creating the Sterling Rose Sanctuary. So we have created the Sterling Rose Sanctuary as a non-denominational, nonprofit to serve those people who have lost a child, sibling, or grandchild, to have the tools and the skills and the strategies to navigate through grief, because we will never get over losing our child. It is a journey getting through the process. And what we are finding, there are so many people grieving that have lost a child that do not have the kind of community that we have been blessed to have. Our friends literally carried us through prayer, through support, through being available and sitting with us. And I hear story after story every single day where families have turned away from those that are grieving. They're losing their spouses. There's dissension in their home. So it has been such a rich treasure for us to be able to serve them in the capacity that they need. And the way we look at it, we feel very honored for any family to invite us into that journey, because a child is one of the greatest treasures that we have as a parent. And so for them to invite us in means that they're entrusting with us one of their greatest treasures. So we want to honor and celebrate and respectfully walk with them. And we meet each person where they are in their need. And the sanctuary really is about dealing with that individual, that family, based on their needs. There's not a cookie cutter pattern, because we all grieve differently. And we want to give them permission, and we want to teach other people outside who are not grieving but have friends that are grieving what that looks like, what that means, how to come alongside. And again, like I said, I've had very rich friends who knew how to come alongside of me. And I'm thankful. We're thankful as a family. So our desire is to raise the funds for a place. And that place will be a space where people can come and rest and have a reset button. Because when you lose a child, color drains from your life. And for them to get away from the triggers, because most often their homes, they're triggers in those homes. And to be away from that, from away from the triggers, and to be in a place where they can be for 3 to 5 days for a reset, where color can come back in, where they can go outside on the property and walk around, and where Scott and I can come in and meet them in their time of need and give them those skills and strategies, discussing whether they're an external or an internal processor, how that needs to look for them to respect each other in their relationship, to talk with the kids, to do music therapy and art therapy, to do some creative writing. It's all ways that are cathartic in helping to heal. And then we will have a healing team that will pray with and pray over that family that is there. And we have already been so blessed with families who have invited us in. We have flown to be with some. We have had some in our home, and we have met with people on the phone. And at each juncture, it just is eye-opening and awesome to see how God does what he does, because only he can. So we appreciate that you've come out tonight and that you're here and that you're sharing in this. And we want you to tell your friends, and we want to be able to serve those that are in need. So I'll just stop, and if anybody has a question or any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
My question is,
Yeah.
can you tell us the training you guys have undertaken specifically for the sanctuary?
Scott and I both have been, I am trained as a life coach, grief coach, and trauma coach. Scott is a grief and trauma coach. We both are trained mediators. We feel like all of that we have had training in, we are able to take into the sanctuary and help those individuals. And we have lived it out. And I think a lot of times by experience, that is really the greatest teaching that we can have. And because we have had it, we understand it. And we are continually learning. There are a couple of points I do want to point out. One, most families end up in divorce that lose a child. Secondly, which most of you will not know, 70% of the children that lose a sibling are more likely, one of them, to die within the first year after losing a sibling due to the trauma, getting addicted to drugs, and overdosing. So we look at this is mental health for everyone, for the entire community. And we want to be able to see the impact that God would have for each person to be able to have healing. Right now, 47% of the mental health professionals are saying that most of their clients are coming in with complicated grief. That means grief that has happened, and there are other factors within that has complicated their ability to process and move through. And we in the sanctuary want to help unpack that grief and give them the tools to walk forward. Any other questions?
What's your website?
Our website is www.thesterlingrosesanctuary.us. Steve says US. I say us because it's about us as a community bringing about healing and hope. Yes? We do. I send out cards on birthdays. I try to send out a text and reach out to the people that we have served to let them know that we are remembering their child, we're celebrating their child on those holidays, on those anniversary dates that are very hard. We will have that in place, and right now on Facebook we have the Sterling Rose Sanctuary page, and on that page for people who are grieving, they can join privately the page for those that are in that group. And I try to put on either a verse or ask them a question that will encourage them in their healing, or I will share something that I think is something that they need. And eventually we want to see that community where they can encourage each other on that page. So follow-up is important. What I can tell you is eventually we see a 1-800-I-GRIEVE hotline coming from this, just like a suicide hotline. There are so many people that need those resources, and some need it immediately. They can't wait for the sanctuary, and we don't want them to have to. We want to be able to serve immediately. So there will be training and volunteers. And right now, our website does not have a volunteer page because we will be moving from Naples to wherever the sanctuary will be, which will probably be somewhere on the east coast of Florida based on the price, land, and the value of what we can get, plus being able to get in and out of an international airport quickly. So we are looking at those things, but there will be a volunteer page, and we really hope that the community will come in. And when we talk to people in the communities that we've been to, they're all about it. Because most everyone we've talked to has had loss. And all we have to do is share what we're doing. And we are very blessed to hear their life story, even though it may be very tragic. They invite us in and they share it with us. I think you had a question.
You were kind of touching on it. I was wondering if you're seeking or if you have a physical place or planning to live in housing.
We have seen some properties that would be ideal. The properties range anywhere from $900,000 for 5 acres with what I consider to be like an estate home on it, to about $1.4 million with 5 acres. We've seen some great properties. Where we live in Naples, we would not even be able to get the house for 1.5 million, much less any land. So we've tried to look and see, and the reason we want land is because we see that this will grow in the future, and we want to be able to have land where we can continue to expand for those needs. We don't want to start and then have to move somewhere.
As far as donations or checks or physical donations,
However you need to have that done, you can go to our webpage and you can donate, and you automatically get where you'll have the tax write-off. We can send something to you. And for those of you who are members of the National Christian Foundation, you may go on the National Christian Foundation website, look up the Sterling Rose Sanctuary, and if you need to put money in through that, you can as well. And you can leave money tonight, you can write a check, you can leave cash. We're not real picky how it comes in. We're just thankful. Yes, ma'am. What? Oh, Amazon Smile. Thank you. We do have Amazon Smile for the Sterling Rose Sanctuary. We would love for you to sign up, because every time you purchase something, then the Sterling Rose Sanctuary gets a little bit of the residual of that, and it contributes to us. So, and to know how long we've been doing this, we've been serving people for over 3.5 years. This month marks 2 years that we have been the Sterling Rose Sanctuary Incorporated.